Welcome to Seabine's Gitmo Watch, and I have quite the show for you today. Many of us are very disappointed, maybe a little fearful about what went on with the election yesterday on November 3rd. Today is November 4th. A lot of scary things, a lot of confusing things, a lot of drama. It's just most people, including myself, were just up in arms and not knowing what to think. Chaos is running wild. Everyone's just trying to figure out what to do next. Well, I made a promise to you a couple of days ago when I did the last Gitmo Watch, Seabine Gitmo Watch that I'm doing. And I had promised you at that time, when I had brought you up to date on what is the movement that's going on in Gitmo right now, about a deep dive that I had conducted actually in the area of 2006, 2019, 2006. It was June 6th of 2019. And I had done a deep dive for D-Day, which was at that day, June 6, 2019, was when Trump went to France for the 75th anniversary of D-Day. And when I had done when I conducted some my diving down some rabbit holes, so to speak, I unearthed many things, observed many things. And I had even conducted a YouTube video on it and put it out there. This was before I had a microphone. So it didn't have an excellent sound quality, but it was quite the eye-opener. And I mentioned all this to you when I had done my video just the other day about the movement that's going on in Gitmo. Well, I'm going to walk through that, going through this rabbit hole right now of observations that I had found. But what is really interesting and saved me a whole lot of time and effort of trying to dig everything up again is a gentleman by the name of Charlie Freak had conducted a video far above and beyond of some of the things that I had found out, but included the things that I had found out. So I know the things that I had found out, that I had discovered, that he had put in this video were right on target, and the video is very well done. So I'm going to be showing you little clips of that having to do specifically why what I'm going to tell you has everything to do not only with what's probably, in my opinion, going to be coming down the pike here very quickly, but now that I have renewed my understanding, I think you are going to really smile by the end of this, because you're going to know what's going to happen to this election. You're going to know. So bear with me here while I go through some timelines, take you through step by step, and then let's have a discussion down below in the comments section and give me your thoughts about what you think about what has been discussed here. Now, if you like this video, please let me know. Like it. Click like on it. If you're not a subscriber of this, you may want to become one, because I'm going to be doing regular Gitmo updates and regular news updates. Now, I am going to start out with just a very brief overview of what I said the other day about what's going on with Gitmo. I spoke with my source at the Department of Defense, Office of Military Commissions, and he let me know very briefly that they are putting plans on the table to start the pre-trials. These are the military pre-trials that they still are not done with. None of this for the KSM et al., Khalik Sheikh Mohammed et al. Tribunals for 9/11. They haven't gone to trial yet. They're not in tribunals. They're still in pre-trials. And it's almost 20 years since 2001, 9/11. 9/11, 2001. And I've gone over a number of things in the past about what has happened up to this point, but they are putting plans on the table. Because of COVID, they shut down the pre-trials in February of this year, 2020, there was supposed to have been a real extravaganza of pretrials for the next year in 2020, because Judge Cohen, who was the trial judge at the time, was the very first judge out of all of the 9/11 judges, was the very first one that actually set a date for this to go to trial. And that date is January 11th, 2021. I also mentioned to you the other day that January in 2020 was actually the very last pretrial before, at the end of the January pretrial, is when basically the stuff hit the fan and COVID came to the US in mass. It's when it really just hit. And also, just a couple of weeks later, Judge Cohen, who was going to be continuing to stay on with the pretrials because so many judges kept quitting in the past, or moving on, or retiring, or finding a different position, or a number of various different things that happened, he basically said, I have nowhere to go, I'm going to stay here till the end, and so on. Well, Judge Cohen, a couple of weeks after the January trial, just abruptly quit. And he cited reasons that he said that he needed to leave because of concern for his family. So, you can take that for what you will. It was kind of a cryptic statement. It was kind of an unusual statement. Now, why is this especially unusual? Is because in January, the very last day of the trials, he made a statement. Actually, one of the last statements he made on the very last day of the trials was to the government, to the CIA. And he said, basically, without going over everything that happened in January, that if he found out that the government has been misbehaving and doing things that they shouldn't have been, listening in on conversations and a number of different things that he was looking into, he was going to basically dismiss the entire KSM et al. 9/11 trials out of court. Just going to dismiss it out of court. And right after that, again, I'm going to remind you, that is when COVID really went crazy. Couple of weeks after that, that is when Judge Cohen quit and made that statement. And then also the remaining of the year of pretrials, for the rest of 2020, were erased bit by bit by bit. So in other words, this entire year of pretrials in preparation for the January 11th, 2021 date of going to trial hasn't happened. And so I also discussed about the slow walking and everything that else that was happening. I'm repeating this for people that are new, so please bear with me. I also talked about how Sevine, myself, Leonard Bacani, Bonnie Nirgude, a number of people went there and covered the military tribunals for just about all of 2019. That was held in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, but we went to Fort Meade in Maryland in order to watch the tribunals live via CCTV with a 45-second delay, same delay that they have on GITMO for everyone that is there actually in Guantanamo Bay watching the pretrials. The same 45-second delay. It was like being there live. And well, it was there live. It was just in a special room that they held these viewings in Fort Meade. So we watched the entire thing kind of come down the pike, and towards the end, the very last one we went to in 2019, I basically said, we're not going to go to any more of these because it's going nowhere. It's a great big nothing burger. Well, the conversation I had with my source at the DOD, where I noticed that some things are moving in GITMO, things are happening again. This is when he told me briefly that they're putting plans on the table for the various different trials, not just KSM et al., but the HADI trial, the pre-trial, excuse me, also the coal bombing, KAHN, KAHN, the other various different trials that are all going on there are on the table to start up again around March, some in May, etc. And I was very disappointed and told him so. But that's when we started to do a dive about behind the scenes. So you're going to want to watch this previous video I just did a couple days ago. I will put the link into the description of this video if you want to see it. But to move forward there, one thing that he said that gave hope was technically, even though March and May is obviously after January 11th, 2021, he said technically that date is still open and on the table of where they're supposed to start the new trials for it to go to tribunal. And that just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me because they scrubbed the entire calendar clean. They've been doing all sorts of orders and rulings and everything else behind the scenes, but yet this wasn't touched. So I think that's significant. Anyway, let's get to what I promised when I said that we did a deep dive. Okay. I am going to go ahead and share my screen. If you have a pen and paper, it would be in your best interest to please take notes because I'm going to be going over this rather quick. All right. But first, I wanted to show you this website by the military commissions, the Office of Military Commissions, the DoD. This is where they have all the information of what's going on in Guantanamo Bay. They have the calendar of events. They have all the active cases, inactive cases, completed cases. If you, they also have all the transcripts that go way, way back. If you wanted to do a deep dive into that, they have everything you could ever possibly know. When you click on the active cases, just for giggles, I'm going to click on Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. You can see the other ones that are going on here. And you will see that when it opens up, it basically gives a brief bio of, you know, what KSM et al. Is. And then it gives all the different documents and things that have been filed that you could open up and look at. Going back forever, it's a mountain of information, 962 pages of information of things that happened and so on. It has the judge's bio that they were going to go ahead and bring on, and then they changed their mind at the last minute. But anyway, also, I will put this website link into the description also. So anyway, I'm going here to the c-find.com website, and this is where we report the news every single day. Our Facebook page, our group page that had 33,000 members, was taken down October 21st without warning, and every single admin that was in that group, the news group where we discussed and we debated and we researched and everything else for reporting the news here, their personal pages, including mine, was taken down also. Now, I was able to kind of sneak back in, but I cannot respond in any way, shape, or form, although I could at first. They basically just put a muzzle on me. So that's fine. At least I can see what's happening. But anyway, we're no longer on Facebook, at least for now. We are taking some measures to change that. But if you will look on here, there is ongoing daily news stories. All our volunteers are still working very, very hard and putting in a lot of time to research and get things out here to you that is recent, and we know that it's factual. So what I will ask you to do is when you go to the page over in the upper right-hand side, become a member, please. You can see the entire website, whether you're a member or not, but basically the membership is you're just saying that you're help us out by donating $5 to $10 or whatever per month to help us with our overhead. Now, without social media, everyone is just flying to the website, so our overhead just went through the roof. We could really use some help. Thank you. I would appreciate it very, very much. Also, if you don't want to do a monthly thing here, there's like one-time donations, different ways. We also have a store that helps us. But anyway, I am going to point out one thing to you. There is an article here where our very own Jolynn Live has not transcribed it, but she has taken over the video that I'm going to be going over with you today, parts of it, and it's a video you want to see. I'm only showing you a little bit of it, but it just let me say, you're going to want to see it. You're absolutely going to want to see it. You're going to find out why everything is going to be okay when you watch this. So that's all I'll say about that. All right, now I wanted to start out. What I mentioned before was the reason things that are going on behind the scenes that are of great importance above and beyond what you hear officially reported or anything on mainstream media is really what's going on that is going to open your eyes wide. Now, I mentioned this before. I did a readout from a press release from the White House that was put out actually in 2017, March 15th. And the reason this is important is because the very first person after President Trump was inaugurated into office, very first person coming from out of the country was from Saudi. And that is of significance. So, a lot of things going on at that time. So I am going to put a link into this, but one thing that it basically said was in March of 2017 is Deputy Prince Mohammed bin Salman came to meet with President Trump. And it is of significance. I am going to read part of this to you, again, because if you weren't here before, you're going to want to hear this. Yesterday at the White House, President Donald J. Trump and Saudi Deputy Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman reaffirmed their support for a strong, broad, and enduring strategic partnership based on a shared interest and commitment to the stability and prosperity of the Middle East region. They directed their teams to explore additional steps across a broad range of political, military, security, economic, cultural, and social dimensions to further strengthen and elevate the United States-Saudi strategic relationship for the benefit of both countries. U.S. and Saudi officials intend to consult on additional steps to deepen commercial ties and promote investment and to expand cooperation in the energy sector. The President and the Deputy Crown Prince noted the importance of confronting Iran's destabilizing regional activities while continuing to evaluate and strictly enforce the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. The President expressed a strong desire to achieve a comprehensive, just, and lasting settlement to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and to continue the two countries' consultations to help reach solutions for regional issues. More broadly, the President and Deputy Crown Prince noted the ongoing security and military cooperation between the two countries in confronting ISIS and other transnational terrorist organizations that pose a threat to all nations. Okay, the reason this is significant is not only why did the Deputy Crown Prince, not the Crown Prince, but the Deputy Crown Prince, was set as the first meeting, which is really a high honor that President Trump chooses to do that, and they're solidifying such a very strong alliance. That's something to consider. Now, it says much more in here, but I'm not going to go over that right now. Now, keep in mind, these are the next timelines of events that I'm going to go over very quickly, but we'll go into more depth when I show you these video clips. So we see that this was March of 2017, March 15th, I believe it said. Okay, Then the very first country that President Trump, on all the countries that he was going to be visiting, very first country he visited was Saudi. Trump visited the Riyadh Summit on May 2017 with King Salman. Now it's confusing. This is the king. This is the older guy. It isn't the Deputy Crown Prince Salman. They both have a similar last name. So he went to go see them then. Now, the king of Saudi, after that, after Trump went to go visit, he replaced the crown prince at the time, Mohammed bin Nayef, with Mohammed bin Salman. And this was in June of 2017. So it's really important. You need to look at these dates. June 2017 is when he visited Saudi Arabia. He visited in May 2017 in Saudi Arabia. And then the next month, the king of Saudi replaced the crown prince of that time, Mohammed bin Nayef, with Mohammed bin Salman. Okay, that's a significant date. Also of interest is when he basically made Mohammed bin Salman, the new crown prince, he deposed the Saudi prince to the palace. In other words, he detained him. And we find out later it was because of corruption. And the reason that the king became crown prince for Mohammed bin Salman was because he knew that the existing crown prince before that was corrupt, and he wanted to bring in some fresh blood that was going to make a huge difference. So again, look at all this timing. And this the former crown prince was detained. 4 months later, a lot of stuff happened in there in the meantime. 4 months later, October 1st, was the Las Vegas massacre. And you're going to find out in this video what really was going on, okay, through the opinion of things that they had found and done some of their own deep dives, same deep dives that I did, and I concur with my opinion that I personally think he's probably correct. But you decide. So that was October 1st, 2017. A couple weeks later, our favorite letter of the alphabet came out for the first time. And keep in mind one thing I'm going to remind you, if some of you don't know this, there is various levels of security in having access to very confidential information, so to speak, in the government. High security clearance. The highest security clearance is Q clearance. Did you know that? Q clearance is basically the highest you can get, and they're generally right next to the president. The president isn't Q clearance, obviously, but they're close to the president, in other words. That's when our favorite letter of the alphabet just suddenly came out. Okay, then a couple days later, on November 4th, the new crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman, locked up hundreds of prominent businessmen and former officials at the Ritz-Carlton in the capital. Okay. And then after that, we have on January 30th, 2018, Saudi Arabia says the detainees, which was a little over a month later, handed over more than $100 billion to Crown Prince. Basically, I guess, kind of a type of bail. And we'll go over that in more depth. So I'm going to go ahead and stop here at the moment. And I'm going to start this video. I'm going to break it up in two separate parts. I'm just going to let it play. And I need you to pay very close attention and probably look at this with a new set of eyes. Okay?
Meanwhile, as the Trump-Comey storm grows, the president kicked off his first foreign trip as U.S. leader. He's set to touch down later this Saturday in Saudi Arabia, the first leg of a whirlwind 8-day tour that will take him to Israel.
And then he went to Saudi Arabia first because he needed to. There's a reason he went to Saudi Arabia first.
All eyes are, of course, on Trump as he takes his first steps as head of state on the world stage.
Al-Walid was the crown prince at that time. Now, he got right into the whole adrenochrome thing.
What is this shit?
That stuff makes pure mescaline seem like ginger beer, man. Adrenochrome.
Adrenochrome?
You are a disgrace, not only to the GOP, but to all of America. Withdraw from the U.S. presidential race, as you will never win.
This is all because this Al-Walid got sucked in by the cabal, the 13 families, one of the three main arms of their weaponry. And there are a lot of Saudis that didn't like this. They knew what was going on and they didn't like it. But there's a lot of people that draw lines with children.
Really don't think he's the right messenger for a message, to bring a message of peace and unity to the Middle East.
Of a pretty stunning moment. Jim was talking about the publicity of this. Well, Saudi King Salman presented that to the president. It's a gold medal. The collar of Abdulaziz Al Saud is what it's called, and it's the nation's highest honor. What is the symbolism there? What is the intention as he gives him that honor? Because already what we are seeing, the grandeur of this welcome, is so different from what we've seen with past presidents.
When Trump arrived in the summer of 2017, he laid out all of the documents. That's what they did to everyone. They had folders, and the folders had all the documents.
These are some of the 33 Haitian children an American Baptist group allegedly tried to unlawfully take out of the country on Saturday.
Annalberia is a small village with a painful past. All of these girls are victims of trafficking.
There were photographs. They came with discs, CDs, and DVDs, and the CDs and DVDs had fantastic production value, and it had all of their footage doing the most horrific things. The NSA has it all on all of these people.
This was, quite a surprising move here by Prince Mohammed. I mean, most of all, this arrest or detainment of Al-Walid.
We're talking about weeks after Trump came and on his visit in July of 2017 to Saudi Arabia. After Trump left, that's when the arrests happened.
Early in November, something happened that many Saudis would have thought unimaginable. From their homes across the country, dozens of the kingdom's richest men, including members of the royal family, were swept up and detained in the gilded cage of Riyadh's Ritz-Carlton Hotel.
Well, his get-out-of-jail card is probably the priciest of them all. They're currently asking for around $6 billion from him out of an $18.7 billion net worth. So that's a tall price. He apparently is resisting that kind of a fine.
But Al-Walid is the one that sort of handpicked Barack Obama as somebody that they could work with.
Faith has always been a guiding force in our...
Nearly 20% of Americans think President Barack Obama is a Muslim. This according to a recent poll by the Pew Research Center.
About 1/5 of Americans are not willing to even accept a man at his word when he says, I'm a Christian.
You are absolutely right that John McCain has not talked about my Muslim faith, and you're absolutely right that that is not my Christian faith.
it was this Crown Prince Al-Walid of Saudi Arabia that decided to make Obama the one that they were going to turn into this linchpin of U.S. presidents.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God?
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
And Al-Walid was arrested, taken down, and in his place was bin Salman. And bin Salman is somebody who was not okay with what Al-Walid was doing. Now, this is absolutely the truth. What happened the second day? The second day, the Crown Prince and the King both submitted publicly control over Saudi Arabia to Donald J. Trump. And how do you know this? Because they publicly held this sword dance ritual, which is a very, very big deal to the Muslim culture. And only the king holds the sword, who's at the very center, at the top of the podium, and who everyone else is around in support of. Donald Trump is holding the sword. This is Saudi Arabia publicly capitulating, and in one of the photos that we have, it shows the Saudi king, and he looks like he's about to die. He's in so much pain at what's going on here. They just handed over the keys to Saudi Arabia to Donald J. Trump. So what is important to note is that where Trump went next, he went with Saudi as part of his team. So you need to understand, it's not just that he didn't go there and take them down and that they're never going to do it. No, they're now working for him. They're part of this team. They're part of the Q plan now. You need to wrap your heads around this.
Direct from Riyadh, President Trump took the first official flight.
And then the days that followed, Trump left Saudi Arabia and went immediately to Israel.
Defeating terrorism and creating a future of harmony, prosperity, and peace. But we can only get there working together. There is no other way.
Okay. The importance of going to Saudi first. There's a couple of things for those that are new I need to let you know. First off, in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, that was created for Al-Qaeda terrorists, Al-Qaeda. And a large majority of the Al-Qaeda terrorists are Saudi. Okay, keep that in mind. Do you remember hearing who pretty much got Obama into office? Where that came from? Something else to keep in mind. Many other things happened. Now, also, from this point on, what was going on was he went on an 8-country tour. The next one was to Israel, and it's where he set up the embassy in Jerusalem pretty quick after that. And that Saudi visit set the stage. This is key. That Saudi visit set the stage for every single country that he went to after that, and developed a very strong alliance. Now, I so want you to see the rest of this, because you can find out a little bit more about what he said to the Pope, what he said in the UK about the Brexit, what he said to all of the other places that he went. Saudi set the stage. Keep that in mind, because it almost appears that they're all working on this together in a lot of ways. We're working on what together? Something to think about. Global, different countries working together for what? Okay, so You need to watch this video. I'll put the link in there. Also go to Seavine to watch that. Next question is, out of all the people they could have arrested, Lord only knows, we have enough indictments, why did they arrest Epstein first? See, like a key to a lot of this? Well, you're going to find out that, yeah, he was in a big way. And a lot of it having to do with trafficking. But I digress. Okay, I am going to go ahead and have you watch the second clip of the same video. And this has to do with the Las Vegas terror attacks. Massacre, I should say. Pay attention, take notes, listen closely.
Now, in October of 2017, there was an attempt on the life of the new Saudi crown prince.
Yeah, if you look at the map, Jake, it gives you an idea of why this was so deadly.
Hundreds of our fellow citizens are now mourning the sudden loss of a loved one.
This little operation that was set for him in Las Vegas was taken down at the last second, and he was protected.
Some at the concert thought it was firecrackers, some thought it was something wrong with the audio. They say it took them just a few moments to realize what was happening.
What happened at this Las Vegas battle?
Hey, you guys, get down! Go that way! Get out of here! Gunshot,
Bin Salman was saved by the U.S. military through the intel received by the NSA, and then given to Bin Salman by Trump. He was asked to take on an even bigger role, and he agreed to do it. He basically was saying to Trump, anything, my brother, anything, my brother.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor to have the Crown Prince with us.
It was a low-key arrival for such a high-profile visit. The Crown Prince from Saudi Arabia did not go in through the front door, but soon found himself in the Oval Office. And there, US President Donald Trump addressing mainly a domestic audience.
On Trump's behalf, Bin Salman went to all of the major corporations, and in particular, the media companies, so Google, Apple, Twitter, Facebook, Microsoft, all of these main companies were all targeted by Bin Salman. And on Trump's behalf, he visited all of them. And of course, this is all verifiable. I've got all of the documentation, all of the imagery showing all of these meetings taking place in late October, early November of 2017. And this is Bin Salman essentially helping Trump to do all of this work for him. And he went and he visited all of these puppet heads for all of these puppet companies, and he basically read them the riot act and told them, showed them the documentation that the NSA had on all of them, and basically said, you play for Team Trump, and Trump is now in control of these corporations, or declass. All of this information will be declassified one by one, and each one of you will be offered up to the masses as a child murderer. So they all capitulated, and there's the money shots of all of these various heads of all of these various companies, including Jack Dorsey for Twitter. So all this stuff that's been going on lately with the censorship of Trump by Twitter, it's all part of the game that needs to be played out for people to get angry and to wake up to what the heck is the evil that's going on, and to say something about it and to do something about it and begin to change their lives. So that's real. All of that is real. And Bin Salman helped Trump do this, and he went to all of those CEO heads of all of those major media companies and social media companies.
We are the oldest ally, France of America and the Middle East, more than 80 years.
But there was a warning from the president to Saudi Arabia and others in the region.
Whether it's Saudi Arabia or other countries, as we know, there will be no funding. We have a zero tolerance for the funding of terrorists.
Among the things to be covered in the talks, the Iran nuclear deal, security across the Middle East.
We've become very good friends over a fairly short period of time.
Mohammed bin Salman has a long list of things to be discussed, debated and agreed during this US trip, and he does so believing his relationship with the president is deep, strong and mutually beneficial.
Okay. Now, what he's talking about there, when I did my deep dive in for the June 6th France D-Day celebration, I found what he was talking about. All of these things, a lot of these things were still available on the internet at that time, and I kept them. So I still have them, even though they've been scrubbed. I have screenshots, and I distributed them around to a number of different places for safekeeping. But for that being said, some of the things that it said on there wasn't mentioned on this that I found. What would happen is Mohammed bin Salman, he would come to places like LA, Hollywood, whichever, and he would rent the entire hotel, and in some cases 1.5 hotels, all for his purposes of inviting movie directors, all different types of actors and actresses, and so on, because he was going to be buying up all sorts of things for the movies. And so they were all brought together basically under the guise of coming there to basically have all sorts of opportunities. And he also went to Washington State, he went to Colorado, he went to a number of different places all over the country, offering these huge opportunities for various elites, getting them together. So when they say that they have it all, they probably have it more than just all. They have a whole lot more going on. So I just thought that was interesting. Now let's talk a little bit. Who is Al-Walid? Muhammad Al-Walid. Well, bin Talal. I'm a little confused about one thing, is because when I initially did my deep dive, I was under the understanding, and maybe it was a wrong understanding, but I was under the understanding that Al-Walid was the crown prince. That's what I thought it was. And on this video here, he says the same thing. This Charlie Freak says the same thing. But yet, when I look at other places, and also on here, he does not say anything that he was the crown prince, which, you know, I looked and looked, and I just couldn't find anything that I knew I wasn't going crazy, that this is what the case was. But you don't see that anywhere right now. What they were saying is the crown prince is Mohammed bin Nayef. So I thought that was just kind of a very significant change. And the only reason I know about it is because I studied it because of GITMO. And, you know, a lot of people probably wouldn't have taken a lot of notice of that. I don't know, but I noticed it. So anyway, the reason I'm bringing you here, I think you're going to find this of interest. Let's look at who bin Al-Walid is, bin Talal. Okay, he's a Saudi Arabian businessman and investor. philanthropist and a member of the Saudi royal family. He was listed on Time magazine as on the annual list of the 100 most influential people in the world in 2008. Al-Walid is the grandson of Ibn Saud, the first Saudi Arabian king, a nephew of all Saudi Arabian kings since, and a grandson of Riyadh al-Sol, Lebanon's first prime minister. He is the founder and chief executive officer and 95% owner of the Kingdom Holding Company, a company with investments in companies in financial services, tourism, hospitality, mass media, entertainment, retail, agriculture, petrochemicals, aviation, technology, and real estate sectors. In 2013, the company had a market capitalization of over 18 billion. Al-Walid is Citigroup's largest individual shareholder and the second largest voting shareholder in the 21st Century Fox, a minor shareholder in Zyvirawala Holdings, LLC, and owns Paris Four Seasons Hotel, George V, and part of the Plaza Hotel. Time has called him the Arabian Warren Buffett. In November 2017, Forbes listed Al-Walid as the 7th richest man in the world with a net worth of $39.8 billion. On November 4th, 2017, he and other prominent Saudis, including fellow billionaires Walid bin Ibrahim Al Ibrahim and Saleh Abdullah Kamel, were arrested in Saudi Arabia in a purge that the Saudi government characterized as an anti-corruption drive. The allegations against Prince Al-Walid include money laundering, bribery, extorting officials. Some of the detainees have been in the Ritz-Carlton Riyadh since then. Al-Walid was released from detention on 27th of January in 2018 following a financial settlement of some kind after nearly 3 months of detention. In March 2018, he was dropped from the world's billionaires list due to a lack of current information. Oh, well, that's a laugh. Remember what I just told you? On January 30th, 2018, they had basically had received well over $100 billion from these guys that they held up. So I thought that was interesting. Now, when you look at his early life and education, it's also, interesting about what his background is, but I am not going to go into a lot of detail. His business career is also very interesting. You probably should take the time. You can look at this on Wikipedia, of how he got his money, the different, like Four Seasons and Chemical Bank and Manufacturers Hanover, Chase Manhattan, Citigroup, all the Saks Fifth Avenue, the Federal Reserve. He received a Federal Reserve temporary waiver to own such a large portion of the company. Al-Walid sold enough shares in 1993 to get below the 10% threshold. So the things that he was involved with deeply. Oh, look at this. Also in 1994, Al-Walid bought a 24% stake in Euro Disney for $345 million. You can go on here, Kingdom Center, Arab Radio and Television Network, Mediaset. I'm just flipping through here. Apple Inc., Netscape, Motorola, AOL, and before it was purchased by AOL and merger with Time Warner, MCI, Fox Broadcasting. Then there's Time magazine that Al-Walid owned about 5% of the News Corporation, which he purchased for $400 million, making him the 3rd largest shareholder. Let's see, what else is the Rotana Group? Oh, here's another one. He purchased a 4% stake in Planet Hollywood for $57 million. This one I don't know how to pronounce. Movenpick Hotels and Resorts. It's endless. Owl Lead invested in WorldCom, Priceline.com, Coca-Cola, Ford Motor Company. He also bought 5.9% of Daewoo for $50 million and 3% of Proton Holdings for $46 million. Hyundai Motor Company bonds. Geez Louise. His stake in Apple was sold in 2005. He also invested Kodak, TWA. TWA. Let me see here. Okay, his real estate holdings, including large stakes in the Four Seasons Hotels and Resorts and New York Plaza Hotel. Al Walid sold half his shares in the Plaza in August 2004. He invested in London's Savoy Hotel, Monaco's Monte Carlo Grand Hotel. Geez. On and on of different hotels and resorts. In August 2011, Walid announced his company contracted Saudi bin Laden Group to build the world's tallest building, the Kingdom Tower. In December 2011, Al Walid invested $300 million in Twitter, purchasing secondary shares from insiders. And purchase gave Kingdom Holdings more than a 3% share in the company, which was valued at $8 billion in late summer 2011. 2015, he announced that he would donate his fortune to charity at an unspecified date, etc., etc. And then here it talks about his arrest and release, and the other individuals that were with him. You're going to want to take your time to look at this. In total, there were 320 princes, ministers, and businessmen that were detained. Al Walid was released from detention in late January 2018. We already read this. Forbes dispute, etc. Now, I'm going to skip down donation after September 11th attacks. Well, isn't that something? He gave a check for $10 million to New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Western universities first. Okay, I wanted to find one here. It was about his personal life, and here it is. He married at the age of 19 for the first time. Apparently his wife, I don't know how old his wife was when he married her, but her name was Dalal bint Saud, who is the daughter of King Saud, and his first wife was also his cousin. This is a picture of Dalal. I don't know, who this is right here, but look at who this is. It's John F. Kennedy. So the picture is with the three of them there. And I guess they were married in, I'm not sure when they were married, so I'm not going to say. But he was divorced and married 4 times. So anyway, I just thought that would be of interest. You probably should take more of a deep dive. Now, let's move on here. What happened recently? Well, let's talk about this. What did happen recently? Now, remember, I told you in January was the last month of the GITMO pretrials, and February is when Judge Cole? I'm just totally, Judge Cohen, excuse me. Judge Cohen quit. He replaced Judge Perella, who quit right after he had a detached retina when he was in the middle of a trial. And so every single judge that quit was always for a really good reason, but they never stayed long, and all sorts of things why this was slow walk to the degree that it has been to this point. So what is my point? In March 12th, 2020 of this year, That is right after things went into lockdown. Okay, and January is the very last month. February, they basically closed. They didn't close down GITMO, but they only had essential workers, so to speak, there. So there were no more trials, and the trials were basically suspended throughout the entire year, ultimately, all of 2020. Well, on March 12th, 2020, Prince Mohammed Nayef and former Crown Prince, I have here Alaouid, but in the Wikipedia is saying that he wasn't a crown prince. So I'm, again, really confused about that. But Alaouid, and what they say here was the crown prince, was Mohammed Nayef, along with one other individual, was locked up, detained. Okay, in a fresh episode of Saudi palace intrigue, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has detained 3 members of the royal family, including a brother of the king and a former crown prince who have been potential obstacles to his power. Now, there's a third person here missing that I can't find mention of in any of the articles and so on that I looked at. But every article that I did find was from mainstream media, and for the most part is seriously trying to have Mohammed bin Salman, his credibility, and they're trying to make him look like a murderer, just a horrible, horrible person. That in and of itself, I think, I find is of interest that mainstream media is doing this. Keep in mind, he and Trump are working very closely together. There is another article that says, dead, detained, or disappeared, a who's who of Mohammed bin Salman's victims. This is just another article I'm showing you. And here you can see Alaouid. And they're saying some of these people are dead, some of them are, just all different types of things. And they have a whole list of names here. And also who was questioned and released, previously arrested, and so on and so on. This is what's going on behind the scenes. This, in my personal opinion, on all these people that are being questioned, some of them apparently were tortured or whatever. This is the deep dive of not only what is going on or what went on with 9/11, KSM et al. They're just going round and round and round in circles, and I do believe that they were absolutely involved. Were they the main ones? No. What's going on and has been going on in Saudi with a lot of these detentions and research and detainees and questioning and release and so on. They're getting to the bottom of not only what happened with 9/11, but other terrorist attacks, who all was involved with it. Now remember, who was it that got what president elected? Okay, and who worked with that particular president? What happened with a number of various different things that are being looked at right now? When they said they have it all, I'm sure they do. Reason I'm going to this degree is this is what's really going on. Please watch this video. It's on the Seavine website. It's very well done. The research that is done above and beyond what I had been looking into having to do with GITMO and Saudi, I didn't personally look into a lot of this, but it is very well researched. I do feel it is very much worth a look. I think it's going to make you smile. And the reason I say that, and I will put the link in the description here, is All this worry about what's going on with the election, for those of you that watched my last video, I read to you a bunch of various quotes from Sun Tzu, who was the military leader that wrote the very old, couple thousand-year-old book, The Art of War, that Trump is very much an advocate of, has studied closely forever, utilized all its principles in building up what he has done as an entrepreneur, and how he acquired all his wealth is utilizing these strategies, and wrote the book on it, The Art of the Deal. The Art of the Deal, on how he applied these principles to entrepreneurship and how to make deals and to move forward. So with that being said, it's one thing that I personally have observed. Whenever the appearance is given that Trump has his back up against the wall, that he's on the fence, on the ropes, that's when he strikes. That's when he hits hardest. And he told us when he first was elected, I'm going to stop sharing here. This is the article, by the way. Opinion, world powers have capitulated to President Trump. He told us when he was first elected that he was not ever going to show his hand. And, you know, if he ever had to do anything to take things in charge, so to speak, the man is a master strategist, and he has the best gut instincts I have ever seen of anyone I have ever known. Obviously has unbelievable stamina at his age. He knows, because he used to hang with the elites and do business with them, how they work. Why arrest Epstein first? Big question. I asked that in the beginning. I'm asking you again with what you're seeing. What about all the child trafficking? How much is really going on behind the scenes to put a stop to it? Why arrest Maxwell? Okay. In my opinion, the last 4 years has been setting the stage. And when you watch this video, you'll understand exactly what I mean and exactly what's in place. And I'm telling you, I don't know how. I have no idea how. But something huge is going to happen very, very soon. He also mentioned, as a side note, on one of his many rallies that he had, it was there towards the end. I don't remember what state it was in. Maybe you can mention down in the comments. But there was a one that was talking about a lockup Fauci. You know, lock him up, lock up Fauci. And he made, this isn't verbatim, but pretty much a statement of, give me a little, you know, a couple of days after the election and we'll see what happens. So something's coming here pretty quick in a lot of various different ways. You watch the entire video. It's long, but it is worth it. And you're going to see, this is the time to really to have the popcorn. No fear. This has been planned for a very long time. There was a thing in the past that was talking about a shot heard from around the world. I personally believe that has to do with the shot that killed John F. Kennedy, because it was from there. And people who were in the CIA, who also who was the head of CIA after a couple of years later, and then became the president during 9/11. So what is going on? It's all going to come down in one boom. He's been setting up his dominoes, and pretty soon it's going to be flipped over and they're all going to fall. One full swoop. So no fear. No fear. Just observe and know that he has this handled. Please comment in the comments below about any thoughts that you may have. Let's discuss this. If you have any additional things that I've missed, which yeah, there's so much, I'm sure there is, anything that you want to mention, discuss it. Because it's all about we the people. We're the ones that are in charge. And our beautiful POTUS is not only going to save how many children in our country, I have a feeling that many, many, many other countries are going to be saved too. Okay, everybody, I will see you in the next show. Have a good evening.